Hello, everyone. Welcome to part 50 of my story. So, immediately after I left the United States Probation Department, speaking with my pretrial officer and him wishing me the best and telling me basically what I need to do during incarceration, my heart was very heavy, but I'm still saving face. I'm still the same me. So, I make my rounds to go and see certain family members. Everybody is giving me hugs and kisses, wishing me the best and saying at 2 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, we're all going to be praying for you. And I proceed to go home, packing up my things, me and my 18 and 20-year-old daughter, who's going to accompany me on this trip for sentencing. So I arrive at court the very next day, maybe 30 minutes before. I'm screened into the United States courthouse in Florida, and I go up. I see my attorney waiting for me, and she take me in a private room, and we start talking. And she's basically telling me that she's gonna present an argument over most of these enhancements because she does not agree with them. And so she tells me that she basically wishes me the best of luck on this, and that based off of the judge's courtroom that I was in, that she wasn't optimistic at all. This is actually the judge that sentenced Kevin Gates. So she's notorious. This judge has been sitting on his bench forever. And so we proceed to make our way into the courtroom, and we take our seats. And then I look up and I see my ex coming in the courtroom with his attorney at that time. And so they're sitting down and they're talking and everything. So moments later, my attorney stands up with his attorney. They approach the bench, they're speaking with the judge, and then they stand back and they start presenting their arguments. And so my attorney is basically, I was looking at 13 years when I walked in that courtroom in the Texas case and 13 years in the Florida case. However, my attorney argued down some of these enhancements, and they got it down to 6 to 8 years. His attorney automatically stands up and tries to start adopting my attorney's arguments to draft it with his case. So my attorney is just looking around like, y'all paid this person? He hasn't done anything. And so when they start talking about the PSR report, he has never even seen his PSR report. His attorney has never showed it to him. He didn't even know the time that he was looking at it until right then in the courtroom. The fact that he has not even seen his PSR report is starting to raise some eyebrows in the court. So his attorney goes over to him and starts whispering in his ear. I don't know what was said, but eventually he stands up and he starts agreeing and saying now that he has seen his PSR report. And so they continue with proceedings. So his attorney stands up with him, and the prosecutor stands up, the AUSA, and basically this attorney is not putting up much of an argument for him, basically saying, his client knows what he did and it was wrong, and that he was sorry. So they asked him if he had anything that he would like to say. And that sheet of paper that he walked in the courtroom with, he could have left back in his cell, because he stood up and he just said, "I stole from you and I'm sorry." And that was it. Point blank, not too many words, no emotion from it. And he sat down. So his attorney stands up when the prosecutor starts saying how much time he's looking at. And all of a sudden I hear his attorney saying, y'all gonna see what good work he's gonna do. And so right there, I'm just like rolling my eyes and everything. Like, I'm already bearing a whole bunch of weight on me at this point. But just to hear this attorney stand up for him and say the work that he's going to do, it pissed me off, because he has been doing too many things, and now he has me sitting here and I'm listening to my daughter sit behind me and they're sniffling and crying, and I hear somebody tell them that they're gonna have to be quiet. And so I'm just sitting there and I'm looking at him, and finally, the prosecutor is saying that she wants him sentenced to the max amount of penalty under law. And so he's sentenced to nearly 20 years at that time. And I see him sit down for a second, and his attorney gives him a cup of water. He sips it, and I see tears coming out the side of his eyes. I'd never seen tears come out of his eyes in my life. And so I'm thinking at this time he's realizing the effects of his actions. And so they get up, him and his attorney, and he's escorted out the courtroom. And then my attorney takes front and center with the prosecutor, and they asked me if I have anything that I would like to say before I'm sentenced. So initially I was looking at 13 years in the Texas case and 13 years in the Florida case when I walked in the courtroom. My attorney stood up and she argued some of these enhancements. She argued that money amount, which they did not take the 18 or 19 points away for the money amount, which was the reason my sentence was looking like it was going to be those 13 years. Well, they did take away some of the points, which automatically dropped the amount of time I was looking at. So now I was looking at 6 to 8 years. But now my attorney is front and center, and she's arguing the best case possible for me. Like, she's not letting up. Her and the AUSA are toe to toe to the point where the AUSA gets upset, and she basically tells my attorney, well, you know what? We can go the other route. And so the other route is me going to trial. And so my attorney basically tells her, no, we're not here to go the other route. And so she kind of backs down a little bit. So I'm looking at those 6 to 8 years now in Texas and in Florida. And so basically they're asking me if I have anything that I would like to say that I can address the courts at this time. And so, of course, I do want to address the courts. I do want to say my part. I do want them to know what actually really happened. And so I go ahead up, I stand up with my attorney, and I start basically telling them that I'm so sorry about everything that happened, and how this guy did not just manipulate other people, that he also manipulated me, and that their lives are not just ruined, but the lives of myself and my children are ruined also because of his actions. And so I go. However, this AUSA is a force to be reckoned with. She stands up and she basically says that I lived a lavish lifestyle, that we had all these exotic trips that we went on. And she's talking about the home that we lived in and luxury vehicles before the courts. And so she's basically arguing that, I should be sentenced closer to the max, and that she wants to see me sentenced to the maximum penalty under the law. And so they announced that they're sentencing me to 96 months. So it doesn't end there. My attorney is now addressing the courts. She wants to know about me having a closer to home destination as well as a self-surrender date. And she's also letting the judge know that she has filed these motions that have not received a response. So the judge is asking the AUSA what's her stance on this. And the AUSA basically says, okay, we can do a closer to home destination. However, she has a lengthy sentence, and I prefer she starts serving it now. So at that point, 2 U.S. Marshals walk over to me, and they proceed to ask me, do I have on an electronic monitoring device? And so I'm basically telling them yes. And they cut it off my ankle. And then they tell me that they're going to take me into custody. But I'm looking at this as Marshal. Is there any kind of way that I can please talk to my daughters right now? Because they came here with me, and I really need to talk to them. And so she says, just sit down, and once the courtroom is cleared out, I'll give you 2 minutes. And so I give them hugs and I give them kisses, and I'm telling them how much I love them in this moment. And my daughter is crying, reaching out for me as if she's a baby at this point. It's tearing me apart. And so the lady said, your 2 minutes is up. I have to take you to the back. And they proceed to handcuff me at this point and escort me out the courtroom with my attorney walking behind me. So once I get in this hallway, they start asking me about jewelry and everything that I have on, and they're pulling out this little bag, and they're telling me I have to put it in this bag and things like that. And they're opening up a cell, and then all these guys come out, and he's one of these guys, and he's at the end of the list. And he looks over at me like he's sad. And in that moment, all I'm thinking is, you're the reason why I'm here. You're the reason that you have just dismantled your entire family, and you didn't care. And so I proceed with the process of being incarcerated, knowing that right now I'm not leaving. Like, the only place that I'm going is to wherever my cell is at this point. And so I proceed